Put it down. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hold on. Can you hear me well? Because I have my mic on and my AirPods. I just want to make sure the sound is good.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
I can hear you. How about on your end? Can you hear me?
Everything's good over here.
Perfect. I'm so excited.
Me too.
It's like I have the emotion of excitement and nervous at the same time, but
Don't
this
be
is all
nervous,
good. It's all good.
girl. This is gonna be a conversation amongst two, like it's gonna be like two
That's
friends.
it.
That's what it's gonna sound like. Yeah.
You're right. Exactly. Let me sit back, relax.
Get comfy. Let's
It's
get
been so long.
comfy and like.
Let's get comfy. This is good. Okay,
Yeah.
so hello everyone. It's your girl Manaya Kid,
Mhm.
aka BTB. Welcome back to season 2 of Let Me Talk My podcast. This is episode 1, and today I have someone great with me. She's beautiful. She's amazing. A beautiful
Mhm.
soul. Rochelle Ellis, dating and
Hi.
relationship
Hi,
coach.
everybody. Happy to be here. Happy to just talk about love, relationships, get to know one another.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. So this episode I feel like is going to be
Mm-hmm.
amazing because not only are you my first guest, this is the first episode, but I feel like you're gonna speak some truth that the people need to
I hope
hear. The
so.
world
I
needs
really
it.
hope so.
And I feel like, yeah, I feel like that there's not a lot of people speaking on
Mm-hmm.
this, but it's gonna be good. So let's start off with let's tell the viewers about you. Where are
Yeah.
you from? Where did you grow
Yeah, so
up?
I am from Connecticut and in the US of A. And I have been all over the place. I've lived in Atlanta, I lived in Boston, I lived in New York, I've lived all over the place, but now I'm back in Connecticut and I'm here as a trauma-informed dating and relationship coach. And I mean, went from the corporate world and I found myself along the journey of I've always wanted to be a coach, always wanted to be in this world of helping people, asking the right questions, guiding people. And now, in 2020, I made it a reality, and here we are today, 2024.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So are you, is this full time? This
Yeah,
is
this
this
is
is you.
me.
This is your
This is
career.
I live,
Wow.
eat, breathe this. This is more than my career to me. This is like a purpose to me. I've been obsessed with
This is
love for as long as I can remember. I have always
oh,
been the go-to for relationships. Whenever my friends had anything going on, they would go straight to me. No matter what was going on with me, I was always able to get them at least into a place where they felt right, like they felt good. They were able to move forward in their love life. So it's my purpose, living in my purpose, but I also do this. This is my business, full time business.
this is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's not just a
No.
career. This is you're destined to
Yeah,
be
like this
here.
is
This is
anything. My life has always been around love and relationships. So no matter what, like this is something to do with love and relationships will always be in my future. No.
okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
But
it. You said ever since a
yeah.
little girl, you always been about love.
Mhm.
Did you grow up with a loving family? What was your household like? Tell me a little bit about that.
Actually, not necessarily. Like I've always my parents have always been loving. I have three brothers and sisters. I have two brothers, one sister, and they have always been there to provide everything. But it's also like an old school Caribbean household. You know, not everything is perfect in that
That's
in that sense.
you.
But I've always been a hopeless romantic. Like as long as my earliest memories has always been about trying to understand, like one, always loving love and seeing it and knowing how it like unlocks it's such an important part of people's lives, and like understanding that.
Yeah.
But also I was obsessed with like the Disney princesses. I was obsessed
Yeah.
with like all of that kind of stuff, and because of that, that has always like guided me toward this stuff.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
understand. So you said Caribbean
Mhm.
household. Where are you guys
So
from?
my mom is from Jamaica and my dad is from Belize, which is Central America. So yeah, Central American
Oh,
and
that's
Caribbean.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad's Jamaican too. I love that.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
for
it, love it, love
sure.
it. Okay, cool, cool. So Disney princess
Yes.
love. That's something that I always admire too. The
Yeah.
fantasy love, the
Yeah.
perfect love. Being a relationship coach, does that exist, girl?
I will say yes, it does, and I'm gonna give a
Okay.
caveat. And here's the thing: is that like right now, and I'm sorry for the background noise. I live on a main street, so if you hear, you know, but
You're fine. No worries.
so it can exist when you understand what love and relationships mean to you. And I think
Mm,
that is like the biggest factor is that right now we see people all trying to look for the same things, all going after the same things. And I know what I like, I know what I need in a relationship, I know what I need in love. And I think when people find them, can reconnect with themselves and understand what they truly want in a partner, they can find that fairy tale love. I've seen it happen multiple
Yeah.
times. Like that,
No, I
that like
agree.
soul love, it's 10 years later and I'm still in love. Love does
Yeah.
exist. It just
Yeah.
takes, stop looking at what everyone else wants and understand you and what you want. And that's the most thing. And I'm not gonna
Got
be like,
you.
oh, love yourself, because I moved away from like the whole like loving yourself and more understanding and getting yourself. You have to understand and get
Ah,
yourself.
what's the
So
difference?
the difference is acceptance, right? Like I think self-love is all about like, oh, I have to hype myself up. I have to make sure everyone, I look at myself as the best thing ever. And there is a component of that that you need. But I think that because of how people have grown up, because of trauma, because of the things people have gone through, it's really hard to jump from not like hating yourself and not even wanting to look in the mirror all the way to like, oh my gosh, I love myself, I'm my biggest hype man. That's hard. It's about understanding and accepting the things that like don't, you're not a robot, you're not perfect, no one is, right? And
Yeah.
understanding what makes you human and accepting the parts that like not even you like, because you're not going to like everything about yourself, because no human likes everything about any human. And that
Yeah.
is the thing, is it's about the acceptance piece. You have to be able to accept who you are and understand
Yeah,
that.
and love the process.
Exactly. And understand when you're looking for someone who gets that part too, and understands your
Yeah.
quirks and is able to accept that. Not necessarily, like allowing everything you to do anything you want. It's about accepting the parts of you and pushing back and helping you evolve. And that's how you find that fairy tale
Exactly.
love. Because a lot of times the main character, the princess, was changed by the end of the movie. You need someone who actually changes you. You need someone who helps you
Um,
evolve and grow. And if you cannot evolve and grow with a person, they were in your life for a season and it's time to move forward. So, yeah.
that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been seeing stuff like that
Yeah.
lately, like even with friendships, like people come in
Yes.
seasons. Not everyone's going to
Yes.
stay, and
That's
that's
the
okay.
number one
They're
thing
there
I
to
tell
teach you
everyone to
something.
accept is sometimes you need to accept that someone is in your life for a season. They were here to teach you a lesson, and you have to be okay with letting them go, because the journey of love, the greatest part about love is the risk of it all. You can lose that person in any way, be it if
Yeah.
they unfortunately pass away, be it if you guys break up. There's so many different ways, right? But that's the
Right.
best part of it, because the risk of it, that is what lights us up. That is a part of what's being human. And there's grief involved with that, yes, right? You have to grieve that part of the process, but
Right.
that's what makes love so great and powerful and beautiful. So
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
All of that. It should be so simple, but I feel like in today's world it can be so complex. And
Yeah.
we all come in different, we all believe in different
Mm-hmm.
things, and
Mm-hmm.
that plays a part in
Mm-hmm.
it too.
Mm-hmm. and
Let's
and
talk
that's the thing, it's simple,
about
not easy, right? Like it could be simple, but it's hard.
exactly right.
So
And that's the thing with
yeah.
us people, like we know what we should
Yeah,
do, and we're like, yeah, easy said than done, right?
exactly.
But when you're actually in it, it's like, okay, this is where it's
Exactly.
complicated.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's talk about today's dating world.
Yes. Oof.
Things are really hard for
Yes.
people. We now have the internet, we have social media that plays a big part. There's
Mm-hmm.
long distance, there's so many layers.
Mm-hmm. There's, I mean, where
Where
could
you
I
at in
start,
that?
right? My
Where
thoughts,
can we start?
my thoughts
Exactly.
are kind of what I talked about before, in the sense of we're living in a world where people try to curate. It's all about the aesthetic. It's about how people perceive you. It's all about how things look. It's about that hashtag relationship goals. It's more about how you look than who you are. And I think that we need to bring it back to, I was actually talking to my friend. I was like, I need to start a movement, like touch grass for love movement. Like people need to get off of the internet and worry about what people think, or about being cringe, and allow themselves to be cringe, allow themselves to get
Yes.
comfortable with embarrassment. Right now we live in a world where it's I said that we have really low distress tolerance skills, which means that like people don't know how to handle the stress. People don't know how to handle
Oh,
being
for
uncomfortable.
sure.
So that's why they try and
Yes.
curate the perfect aesthetic. So like everyone thinks of them as like this perfect person. We need to zoom back from that. Stop worrying about curating anything. Understanding that the world in and of itself is cringe. We're all cringe. That's why we get
We're all
nervous, right? Like
cringe.
that's why we
We're
get
all
nervous,
cringe.
and that's why we have to deal with all this stuff. So I think it's
Exactly.
all about going outside, getting to
Yeah.
actually connect with people in person again and stop worrying
Yeah.
about curating the perfect aesthetic. And like I said earlier, understanding what you want, because everybody wants something different in a relationship, because
And that's
everyone is
okay.
one of one, right? So we're looking for other one of one. So
Exactly.
let's stop focusing on one of the things I hate about getting on Instagram. I used to be a makeup artist, like in my yesteryear, is
Okay.
seeing everyone have the same face as Kylie Jenner, and everyone's doing makeup with the same face. No one is actually like focusing on bone structure. Like when I contour, I focus on my bone structure. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't do that anymore. We're not focusing on our
Yeah.
uniqueness. So
It's
that's like my big thing.
just what's
Exactly.
trendy.
And look how fast trends cycle. TikTok is so fast, trend
Mhm.
cycle from week to week. We were saying demure last week, and now people are like
I
annoyed with saying it. People are tired of saying
I
it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know,
So
just like
we
that.
have to move away from that, because you want this long lasting, long term fairy tale love, but you're moving at the speed of light, wondering why you can't have it. You need to slow down and get outside and
Yeah.
stop worrying about curation and focusing on, like I was saying, accepting the parts of yourself, all
Yeah.
the parts of yourself, even the parts you don't like, and understanding that there is someone out there who is going to love that about you.
Yeah.
Like the things that I would think would drive people crazy, because one of the things about me is I'm a very intense person. I'm bubbly, but I can be very intense, and everyone,
Got you.
yeah. So
Okay.
like, if one of my friends is like, maybe you should, not be so intense. And I'm like, that is what dudes love about me. So why would I turn down the thing
The
that makes me unique?
sternness. The
Yes,
sternness.
I'm not
Yes.
gonna
I
turn
can
that
relate to
down.
that.
They love that I'm sarcastic and I don't jump to laugh at their jokes. It actually like makes them funnier. Like, let me live, let me cook.
Yeah. Let me be
So
me.
but that's the thing, is right now everyone's trying to fit into sameness, and I get it, because as humans we want to fit in, but we have to understand that we're moving into a direction where fitting in is about being yourself and finding people who love that about you and building
Yes.
community around that and finding a partner around that, and not about a social media aesthetic, because it's never going to work that way. So
Exactly. It's like we do it this way. We don't have to
yeah,
follow the
yeah,
trend.
that's
Yeah.
where the fairy tale
Exactly.
love
You want
comes
someone
from.
exactly. And you want someone that adds to your story. You
Exactly.
want someone that's aligned
Hmm.
to your purpose. You don't want to be pulled away, pulled back. You want someone that's aligned to your
That's
purpose.
the
I think
biggest
that's
thing
key.
right now in the
Sometimes
dating world.
some things just don't work.
Exactly.
Yes,
A lot of people are
exactly.
trying to force relationships, trying to force, I say,
Yeah.
trying to force the round peg into square hole, when like that person is not a fit for you. You guys are incompatible. You guys just don't match, but you're trying to force something instead of realizing you will find someone who's aligned with you. You will find someone who's compatible with you if you stop wasting time on someone who's not, just because you guys have a little chemistry. I get you have a little
Yes.
chemistry, but that's going to fizzle, and you need to build something long term. And the only way to do that is by understanding yourself and understanding the other person, and you guys coming together and knowing that you work because you understand each other and you align with each other.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I agree.
So
Rochelle, you said something earlier. You mentioned some
mm-hmm.
of your friends spoke about how stern you are, how serious you are with
Mm-hmm.
guys, and you're like, I think that's the part that guys
Yeah,
like.
I know that's the part guys like.
You know that's
Yeah.
the part, excuse me. You know that's the part
Mm-hmm.
guys like,
Yeah.
okay? Now I'm a
Mm-hmm.
woman, I can relate to that as well. I know what I want. I'm very gentle about it,
Mm-hmm.
respectful, but I can be a
Mm-hmm.
little stern. Do you think that contradicts remaining in your feminine energy, the
So
soft feminine
I
energy?
have a very interesting take on the whole masculine feminine thing, because I feel
I would
like
love to hear
we
about
live
it.
in a world right now that we know we live in a patriarchy. We know we live in a world that has been run by men for a very long time. And because of that,
Yes.
using those terms can kind of they can get complicated, because we default back to these gender roles that don't fit that. Because there's the masculine feminine thing has been around for eons, right? But it's just,
Yeah.
I always like to shift the language to action versus reception. So it's being active versus
Gotcha.
being receptive. So feminine is being receptive, masculine is being active. some of us, and the way it shows up is all of us have both masculine and feminine energies within us. I like to look at it as like a
Let's talk
percentage.
about it,
I like
Rochelle.
to look at it as like a percentage thing. So like I believe I'm like 70-30. I'm 70% feminine, but I have 30% masculine, and that's just who I am as a
Fair.
person. You might be the same, you might be 90-10, you might be 50-50, whatever, but there is a number that works for you. There's a ratio that works for you, that is unique to you, that fits you, and that's going to align with whoever you connect with, right? And the problem is we're so focused on masculine, feminine, I feel like it gets too wrapped up. And
Yeah.
if you are someone who is this stern, this serious, this intense person, and you want to be in your receptive energy, so your feminine energy, you can still be
Definitely.
that way and attract people by being that way. It's about owning that energy. It's not about
Yes.
doing certain things or anything like that. It's about owning, what does it feel like for me to be receptive to a guy, to make him want to come over and attract. That's the whole thing too, is that like I'm a very assertive person, but I've always had guys approach me without issue. Like I've always had been the
Oh,
person
of
to receive.
course.
And that's because when I'm out, I will literally be in a room and be like, I know you want me. You can come over here
Yes.
and get
You
me.
own it.
And that is it. It's about
Yes.
owning the energy. It's not about doing certain things. If I walk into a room and be like, I know every dude in here wants me, I know I'm gonna walk out with a number. And I never have an issue. But I have to own that energy
Exactly.
before I walk into the room. Marilyn Monroe would do
Exactly.
that. That's how she would turn into Marilyn Monroe. She would step into that
Yeah.
energy and dudes would flock. So that is when I look at it for like masculine versus feminine. You might be someone who has to go up to the dude, and you're looking for a dude who's more receptive,
Exactly.
and that's okay. Don't let society or social media or these red pill dudes make you feel bad about that, because that just means that you are a person who is looking towards someone who's more receptive.
For sure.
So
And I definitely think us women today, we definitely have to
yes,
just own it and be more
yes,
confident. It's okay to be a
yes,
boss woman. It's okay to be independent, but it's also okay to have a man take care of
that's
you.
it. And
Balance. Definitely
honestly,
balance.
like, and this is the whole thing, because I don't want to go into like the 50-50 conversation, because it's deeper than
Okay.
just like 50-50.
I wanted to touch on that, Rochelle. We're gonna get there a little later.
All I'm saying is, if you are someone who wants someone to take care of you, because there are women who I've worked with who want to take care of the person who's taking care of the guy, and there's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. But if you are someone who wants someone to take care of you, you have to, one, get okay with that and be okay with accepting help. But also knowing that if a dude is stingy, if a dude is out here counting his pennies, that means he's probably not into you like that. Because I have seen
Mhm.
guys getting $200-$300 cab rides to go see someone in the middle of the night. They will
Yeah.
spend their
You
last
want it, you go for it,
dollar if
right?
they really are into you like that. But if they're counting
Yeah.
pennies, being like, you have to Venmo me the $12 for the coffee I bought you, I forgot about the reaction thing.
Please.
But yeah,
Please.
yeah.
I'm getting chest pain also.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you have to make sure that like don't sit there,
Yeah.
like if you're stressing out about bills and he's perfectly okay with seeing you stress out and doing nothing to help you, he's not gonna be the one to take care of you. You have to cut your losses and understand he's not into you in the way you think he is, and cut your losses. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
that's my thought on
agree.
like all of that. Like don't worry about, you can like the right guy will take care of you. You have to actually believe that though. A lot of people step into it being like, well, that's not going to happen. I have to be realistic. A lot of stuff like that. Whose reality are you subscribing to? Be realistic
Yeah.
according to whom? You know what I'm saying? Like,
So not to cut you
no,
off, Rochelle,
but
but as you're like
mm-hmm.
talking, I'm thinking, and I'm like, wow, she's so right. And then my mind goes, what are your thoughts on today's marriage rates? Back in our grandparents'
Mm-hmm.
time, our parents' time, getting married,
Mm-hmm.
baby, house, car, like no problem. Today, there's so many
Yeah.
layers, friends with benefits, taking it slow,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not ready. Do you see things getting worse? Are they
No.
getting
If
better?
you actually look at, because this is the thing too, I feel like everyone says the marriage rates, it's like 50% of marriages end in
Yeah.
divorce. I have two thoughts about that. One, if you look at more recent rates, you'll see that a lot of people are marrying later, but that's actually been a benefit because people are staying married longer. And the marriage rates are completely different for those who are married after the age of 30 versus those who marry before the age of 30, as well as millennials are getting married later, but also staying married a lot longer. So if you look at the statistics, like they have changed versus like the conventional 50%. But if we do want to use that statistic, one thing I would say is, why are you focused on 50% divorces and not the 50% marriages? Why do
That's
you
true.
believe that you're going to fall in the 50% that fails? That's a you thing, if that's where your mind automatically goes. If
Yeah,
you feel like you're going to automatically be in the bucket that goes down. But we also have to look at
that's
in
true.
the context of the time. I think a lot of people, when it comes to relationships, and one of the first thing I teach is one of the first things we talk about is put things in context. Relationships don't operate
Got
in a
you.
vacuum. We look at those times, the divorce rates were different because it was frowned upon in society. They would be
Mm,
excommunicated from their friends, their family members. If they got divorced, they couldn't get a bank account because it wasn't until the 70s that women were able to get bank accounts without a man. So, like, you have to think
yeah,
about in context of why people dealt with the things they dealt with. Also,
got
how
you.
many husbands just mysteriously passed away? We forget about the
Yeah,
arsenic. We forget about things like that.
yeah,
We forget about things
yeah.
because it's not put into context. You have to put things into context. And I do not think that people were overwhelmingly more in love before. But what I will say is, because I truly believe a lot of people are not raising their sons to actually be men. They're raising their sons to
Mm,
find a woman to continue to mother him until he passes away. And that is
yeah,
the issue. We're thinking about this wrong, because people are raising women, but they're not raising boys to be men. And that is just my
got
context on that,
you.
because of what's happening is what we're seeing. A lot of these I'm not ready type things that we're seeing right now is coming from the place of these guys still have, they might be men on the outside, but their minds are still in adolescence, in teenagehood. They have not been able to
Um,
evolve, and because of the encouragement of the people around them, they're not in situations, because the way we grow is relational. That means our friends, our family members, our relationships. We need relationships to grow. And he continues to push away relationships that will actually help him evolve. That he's not evolving. But for every man that's not doing that, there's a man out there healing, there's a man out there growing, there's a man out there doing the work. You are just seeing the
absolutely.
loud minority, because what happens? They throw tantrums. And now we live in a world where there's social media, so you could throw a tantrum on Instagram, you could throw a tantrum on
It's in
TikTok. So,
front of your face. That's what's
but I'm
highlighted.
telling you right now,
Yeah,
so I
that's
have
what's
my baby
highlighted.
brother. He's my pride and he's one of my favorite people ever. He's my pride and joy.
Oh, that's amazing.
He actually, no, he doesn't really use social media. But his wife's car
Got
broke
you.
down and he had a Tesla in her parking spot the next week.
Ah,
I keep these
I see.
reactions that make me mad every time. But my whole point is, there are a lot of men out there that's not on social media, that's not posting, that's not doing all that stuff, that
Yeah,
got it together. You're just not seeing that,
got it
because
together. You're
you
not
have to
seeing.
get off the
Yeah,
internet and go touch grass if you want love. There are
exactly.
people in real life. So,
Get in touch with real
yeah.
life. And
So,
and how we started the episode with you saying, what was the saying you said? Something about touching
touch
grass.
grass for
I loved
love,
it though.
touch grass for love movement.
Yes.
Like, I really need to do that movement.
Yes.
Go outside. That's how we're gonna do
I
it.
love that.
Even if you meet
For
someone
sure.
on
Go
a dating app,
outside.
that's okay. But you still need to go outside to be able
Yeah.
to ground yourself in reality, because the
It's
internet's not
definitely
real in that context.
okay.
So,
It's definitely
yeah,
okay. And I get what
yeah.
you mean. It's definitely okay. And that's the advantage of living in today's time. We
Mm,
have social media. We can take
exactly.
advantage of that. You can connect with people all over
Exactly.
the world. There's long distance relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. And marriage does
Yes.
exist. I definitely
Yes.
agree. Marriage does exist. Love is real, all of
Mm-hmm.
that. But I know there are some people out there struggling. And you mentioned a good point about it coming from home, your home
Yes.
dynamic, your home setup.
Yes.
Um, and I want to touch a little bit not just about romantic relationships, but family
Mm-hmm.
relationships and friendships and where people come
Mm-hmm.
from. Um, how do you think an unhealthy let's start positive. How do you think a healthy household and a
Mm-hmm.
home setup can impact somebody for their relationship?
It's probably it's the most impactful. So,
Okay,
you attach. It's attachment, right? It's all about the attachments we build, and that informs how we attach with people in the rest of our life. So if
got you.
have a loving household where you have a secure attachment style, you're attached, you understand how to connect with people, you inherently trust people, you don't just look at people as someone who's out to get you. Those types of things come from before the age of 7. From age 0 to 7, you basically build out your attachment system and your belief system. So
Yeah.
who are you introduced to from the ages of 0 to 7? Your parents, whoever your caregivers, I should say, your friends, your family, siblings, teachers, classmates. Those are the people who really inform who you are and how you connect with other people in the future. So if you were taught to not trust people and that everyone's inherently mean and distrustful and you shouldn't connect with people, that's what you're going to think when you're in 19, 20,
Yeah.
21, 22, you know. But if
Yeah.
you believe that you can trust people, you can form loving relationships, you are inherently good, all of those things, which you get taught growing up while you're a child, then it connects with your relationships. And I've seen it before where someone grew up in a household with like a poor attachment style, and then someone who's like secure, and then this person is like, what is going on with this person? They're acting
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So you see it play out in the dynamics of relationships all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. I
Yeah.
definitely think having a great loving family definitely helps
Mm.
you out in the world when you become an adult, especially growing up as a
Yeah. Yeah.
kid. Especially with two-parent household. Of course, a one-parent household is
Yeah.
great, but definitely a two-parent household, it does
You
something different.
get
And
to
I
have
think that's
different
amazing.
perspectives. I think
Oh,
you get to
for
connect
sure.
with your parents differently, right? So
Yeah,
that plays a role, but also
exactly.
any adult figure in your life really plays a role in how you develop and how you connect with people. So that's why when it says it's a village, it really is a village for the child in terms of
Mhm.
they get to have a wealth of perspectives in terms of like how to form as a person and how to navigate the world as a person when they get to be a big person. So yeah.
Right, absolutely.
So
Well, Rochelle, you have
thank
amazing words,
you.
and this just
Mm.
makes me think. I feel like you come from a great household yourself or a great relationship. Is that the case?
House, like I said, like it's very old school Caribbean in that way. Like that's how it is. I will say that there were things I had to unlearn. It's more so of me making sure that I would heal through some of the things that I picked up, some of my belief systems and stuff. In
Of
terms of
course.
relationships, no, I'm not in a relationship right now
Got
because
you.
I got really sick a couple years ago.
Okay.
It was like
Yeah.
I almost died about a couple years ago, and then I was very sick for about a year, and I cannot commit. Relationships require
Yeah.
responsibility,
Of
and though I had
course.
connected with people, I could not commit because I was so sick. And now I'm in the world where I get to take my audience with me on as a journey to date, which I'm really excited about, which I'm working on. After I get a couple launches down, I have a journey prepared because now I know exactly what I'm looking for. It's very easy for me to connect with people
Exactly.
in that regard, and I was able to do a little feelers at the beginning of the year and connected with a few people. So
Well, that's
yeah,
amazing,
yeah,
Rochelle. You know what you
yeah,
want. You're a woman of your word, and that's
yeah.
great. Your story is so
Thank you.
empowering, honestly.
Thank you. It's been a
So,
long journey, but
let's,
yeah.
yeah, of course. And that's the beautiful part about it. It's like it's a long journey, but it's all about enjoying the process.
Mm-hmm.
And different stages in life
Mm-hmm.
are definitely going to teach you
Yeah.
different things,
So
for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get a
Yes.
little fun. I have a little pop question.
Okay.
It's called a halftime
Okay.
question. So, little something something. Rochelle, you're on a
Mm-hmm.
date with someone that you really like, beautiful restaurant, good conversation. This person's just like, you're like, I want to see this person again.
Mm-hmm.
The bill comes, you're like, okay, whatever. And the person you're on a date with forgets their
Mm.
wallets. What are you doing?
Um. Honestly, it depends on the scenario because I don't mind paying. Really don't. But
Okay.
if I that's if
Yep.
I'm asking somebody out. If you ask me out and you happen to forget your wallet, I would have no problem paying. But the moment that's it. That's we done now.
Yeah.
We done we
Okay.
that was the first and last date. So because I
Okay.
feel like I've heard the forgot wallet scenario before. Um, and yeah, yeah.
Got
that would be
you.
it. Because I would, I mean, if you genuinely forgot it, I would probably give you a second chance, but I don't know if I would believe that,
Yeah.
to be honest. So,
I think me personally, if I like the person, everything's going well, they seem genuine, and it doesn't seem like a front, I will pay, hoping you cash at me like the next hour.
we'll see. Yeah, I think
But
that what follows
we'll
up,
see,
yeah,
you know?
the follow up is really the most
But
important part. But if I'm not buying it, if I'm not buying it, but if it's a genuine thing, I would see what happens. We'll see what
yeah, if it's a
happens.
genuine thing, you know. But if this is like the
Yeah,
first date, you've been asked out, and it's the whole I forgot the wallet,
yeah,
it's just like, but in all honesty, it's okay to have
yeah,
someone's back when,
yeah.
you
And
know, you
I've
guys
had
have
that
something
happen
going on.
before.
For
Like,
sure.
it's not the first date. I feel like the first date is a little iffy because,
Yeah.
like I said, like if it's a genuine thing, as someone with ADHD, I forget things all the time.
Yeah, and it can
Yeah,
happen.
so,
Exactly. For sure.
yeah. That's
Why I love that answer. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your experience with your
mm-hmm.
clients. How has
It's
that been?
I
Do you feel like, can you
man.
tell us?
I
Well, go ahead. Sorry, go
it's
ahead.
about that's the thing I love more than anything is client work. The
Yeah.
reason why I create content, the reason why I do anything is to have clients because I love client work. It's like I always say, like when I have a client hit me up like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, or oh my gosh, look cool, like this statement went amazing. I feel like Beyonce must be on stage. Like it is
Oh,
my
yeah.
Beyonce moment. I say it's my
Sure.
Beyonce moment.
Yes.
So, I've had clients go from husbands leaving out the blue, from boyfriends who are like using them as a placeholder, just like biding their time until they find someone better. And then all of a sudden they get left out in the cold, to now they're in a healthy relationships, kids. I've had 2 marriages. I've had
Oh,
just had a
that's
kid that just not that long ago.
amazing.
So yeah, it's just an amazing experience from beginning to end. And like sometimes you have people who don't fit, who are not a fit, who are just looking at the world in victim mode and they refuse. They have no interest in
Got you.
changing. And those people we respectfully just say, okay, we're not a fit. But that has only happened like maybe twice in the last few years. So like it's just been an
Got
amazing
you.
experience. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm so
Mhm.
happy to hear that. The 2 marriages got me like feeling so bubbly. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then
Um,
I one who had the baby is not in a marriage yet, but I'm hoping that happens real soon. I think that might be happening soon.
yeah,
And so yeah, it's really understanding or seeing someone understand their uniqueness that really makes it worth everything from because I'm up. It takes a lot of work. So like from beginning to end, I have a 6 month program, a 3 month program, and just like I'm gonna launch a 1 month program soon, and it's just seeing like beginning to end that makes all of the nights you're up thinking like maybe this is something that
yeah,
will help them out. It makes it worth it.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
absolutely. Definitely worth
Mhm.
it. You
Mhm.
spoke about certain people being in
Yes.
victim mode, and you kind of saying maybe this is, maybe I'm not the right
Mhm.
fit for you, help you out in the situation. Um, I do know a couple of people like that,
Mhm.
and part of it I feel like could be like their upbringing
Yeah.
or their beliefs or what was instilled in them. When it gets to that point, do you ever recommend therapy or do
Yes.
you leave that more on their personal choice?
I'm a
Got
big
you.
proponent of therapy. I'm actually not even to become a therapist because that's not in the cards for me, but I'm still going back to school soon to get my
Oh,
just to get the degree.
that's,
Because
that's
I'm such a
amazing.
nerd in that way. Like I'm such a voracious learner. So like
That's awesome. That's something to brag about,
so yeah,
girl.
I'm like I'm gonna do that just to be able to like get that knowledge. But like in that case, I normally say I don't think you're in a place because coaching is about helping you propelling you forward. That's the whole point of coaching. I don't think people understand what coaching is meant to do. It's not a replacement for therapy. It's about you, for instance, what I do is because I do dating and relationships. I want to find love. My dating life right now is not going well. What can I do? I help get you
Got
to a
you.
place where you understand that I have a methodology, I have a framework that I use with all my clients. So, because of that, that's the whole point. But part of the problem is um, people think that a coach is supposed to tell you what to do with your life,
Uh,
to come in
uh,
and just give you the steps and tell you what to do with your life. But that's not it. And when that happens, it's like, I think you have to shift your belief system in a way that therapy would be the best fit. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that answers my question. I was going to ask, do you recommend therapy for those
Yeah.
that feel that way? But that answers
Mhm.
everything.
Yep. It's
That's
really
great.
important to be able to get to a place where you are able to break through some of those belief systems. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so being a coach, you said you give people these
Yes.
resources. So as for somebody, for an
Mm-hmm.
example, that's just like, I've tried
Mm-hmm.
everything. I'm ready to settle down. I know what I want, but I can't find
Mm-hmm.
what I want. What do you suggest? Do you suggest going out? What would be your tips?
So, I mean, that's usually the beginning of any coaching engagement. So it's really getting an understanding of their like dating history, like what has worked out, what hasn't worked out. Do you have successful relationships? Do you have unsuccessful relationships? Stuff like that. So it's really about understanding that and getting to the bottom of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I once I
Well, that's
yeah, like so once I get to the bottom of that, then we can get to the next step. I can't help you until I understand what I tried everything means.
got
So yeah.
you. Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this
Yes.
up, is there any advice you can give out there to the
Yes.
lovers?
The first thing I would say, that the most important thing I would say, the number one piece of advice is understand what you want. Get clear on what you want. Once you get clear on what you want, once you understand what you want, then you can start the dating process. But if you don't get that part, you're just kind of lost in the dark and you're going to meet people who you might not be compatible with. So really take the time to understand what you want before you take that next step in dating. So,
As you should.
yeah.
This is amazing,
Thank you
Rochelle.
so
I
much. We can
appreciate
definitely
it
do a part two
so
as
much.
well. This was
Oh, for
already a really
sure.
good conversation. I do have to hop off, but this
Yes,
was an amazing conversation. And
this
like I said,
was an amazing
you can connect with
conversation.
me
Yes.
at coachima.com if you are interested in learning more. I have a dating audit where I give you a personalized I understand your dating history and give you a personalized roadmap to get to the next step. So if you are interested, you can go to coachima.com/audit.
Yeah, you
So yeah.
guys go follow her. She's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one, guys. And like I said, we're gonna connect for a part two. So
Oh,
look
for
out for that.
sure.
Okay.
We gotta, yeah, for sure.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay,
Have a good
though.
one.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.